All right, all right. So let's look at 2.8 distance, midpoint, and circles. So the first one we're going to look at is the distance formula, wherein d is going to be equal to the square root of x2 minus x1 squared plus y2 minus y1 squared. A lot of this section is going to be, using the formulas and plugging them in and calculating. All right, and the first one we're looking at, like I said, is the distance formula, where d is going to represent the distance between 2 points. I'll scroll up to the rest of it as soon as I feel like everybody's done copying. All right, so point one would be x1, y1, point two, x2, y2. And like I mentioned, distance d is that distance between the 2 points. All right, first example, we want to find the distance between the points -1, 4 and 3, -2. All right, I labeled point one, -1, 4, and point two, 3, -2. So we plug those values in accordingly. X2 is 3, x1 is -1. Make sure you don't lose a negative in your substitution. Be careful with that. Y2 is -2. Y1 is 4. So 3 minus -1 squared will give you 4 squared. -2 minus 4, -6 squared. 16 plus 36 under the radical, give you 52. That's the square root of 52. All right, so looking at the square root of 52, you are expected to simplify that further if possible. You may not be able to take the square root of it evenly, but if one of the factors can be taken the square root of, you are expected to explore that. So you can break up 52 into 4 times 13. Take the square root of 4, leave the 13 under the radical, so that'll be 2 square root of 13.
Professor Tucker,
Yep.
not to confuse anyone, whenever you raise something to a power, don't that knock out your radical, the symbol?
That's if you had just this. But because we have plus and then another quantity, you can't just do it like that.
Okay,
Yeah,
thank you.
plus, yep, no problem. But that plus sign prevents you from doing that simplification. Yeah. Same thing as if you had a minus sign in between those two numbers. You wouldn't be able to do it.
Okay,
Now, if it was just this, if it was all multiplication, then you could do it.
Wait, do what?
Just cancel out the square
Oh,
with
okay.
the square root.
Are we gonna do that in this
No,
part? In this part?
nah, no, that was just him asking something abstractly. Yeah. All right. Yes, somebody asked, do you have a final exam at the end of the semester? Yes, yes. At least I don't give you a midterm, right? So.
That's a good thing. Wait, the final exam, does it cover everything?
Um, Put it like this: I may not pull from every chapter, but you still need to know everything in order to pass. You know what I mean? Because everything is a build up.
Mm-hmm.
Going all the way up to we're going to get to chapter 4. So you cannot be successful in chapter 4's content if you don't know how to do chapter 1's content. You know what I mean? So really, I can pull everything from last semester. That's what I did. I pulled everything from chapter 4, but everything in chapter 4 pulled stuff from chapter 1. You have to be able to solve equations in order to be
Yeah.
successful.
So it's all built up on.
Exactly.
I see.
Exactly. Yeah. All right. So next one's the midpoint formula. X1 plus x2 over 2, y1 plus y2 over 2, so they're coordinates. So you're talking about the point that's right in the middle of 2 points, your midpoint. So you want to know the coordinate of the middle point between 2 endpoints. This will be the formula.
Is that a comma in between x1 plus x2
Right here?
over? Yeah.
Yes, that's a comma. Yep. So this is going to be your x coordinate. This will be your y coordinate for your midpoint.
So when we solve, we're going to have two separate solutions.
Yes.
All right.
Mhm. All right, we want to find the midpoint of 1, -6 and -8, -4. So I labeled the first point I saw, x1, y1, 1, -6, then x2, y2, -8, -4. Then from there, you just go ahead and plug in. Don't let me scroll up too fast. If everybody done with the black, right? Everybody done with the black? Okay. So x1, x2, so that's 1 plus -8. And then y1, y2 is -6 plus -4, and replacing each one of those quantities over 2. All right, 1 plus -8 is -7 over 2. -6 plus -4 is -10 over 2. So that -7 over 2 is okay to leave as a fraction since 2 cannot divide into 7 evenly. 10 over 2 will give you 5, and that'll be your coordinates. -7 over 2 and -5.
Is today's class going to end early?
More than likely, yes. We're only going to do this one section, and then we'll talk about how we're going to do the test for chapter 2.
Oh yeah, that was my next. Like, are you going to do the webcam test and stuff like that? I was going to ask that.
Yeah, we'll talk about that when we close out, before we close out.
All right.
All right. Problems with midpoint before we look at circles. Everybody good with the red? All right, circle. All right, definition: the set of all points in a plane that are equidistant from a fixed point. That fixed point is called the center. All right, the fixed distance from the circle's center to any point on the circle is called the radius.
Does that say equal? What is that?
Equidistant.
Equal distant? Equal.
Yeah, equidistant. Yep, equal. Trying to figure out equidistant. Do I get? Am I missing a letter? I think that's good enough. Let me make sure. Equidistant. Yeah, that's it. That's good. Yeah. Yep, equidistant. Yeah, I'm good.
Professor Tucker, I can't understand the last word.
Where? You talking about radius?
The radius. Okay.
Yep, yep. I didn't know you meant last word. Yeah, so yeah. All right. Scrolling up a little. Okay, so we're looking at the equation. I'll give you a second. All right, so the standard form of the equation of the circle is x minus h squared plus y minus k squared equal to r squared. Everybody done with that? Okay. Where your center is going to be hk, coordinates hk, and your radius will be r. So notice the relationship between the equation and the coordinates of your center. You're going to use the opposite signs. Notice you have minus h and minus k in your formula, but then you have positive. Oh, still have my eraser on. Hold on. But you have positive h and positive k as your coordinates. So you will use the opposite signs of what's in your equation for your actual coordinates. And then you would take the square root of r in order to get your radius. But of course, you'll see when we put numbers on it. Once we put numbers on it. All right. So write the standard form of the equation of the circle with center -2, 3 and radius 4. So they give us the center, the coordinates of our center, and the radius, which is 4. And they ask us to write the equation in standard form. So we will just take h and k and plug it into that equation that we just introduced, and then plug in 4 for r. And so that's what we did here in all 3 of those spots. So it's x minus -2. Once again, make sure you don't lose a negative in your substitution. So it's x minus -2 squared, y minus 3 squared, equal to 4 squared. It's x plus 2 squared, y minus 3 squared, and then 4 squared is 16. And that is all that they are asking of you from this problem. Any questions? Anybody holding on?
Hold on. So that, which one is the standard form? The x plus 2 square plus y minus 3 square equals 16? That's standard form?
Yeah, this right here.
So that's the solution for this problem. We don't have to solve it any further.
Right. Yeah, because that's all they wanted. Was
This is standard form.
Mm-hmm.
So what's that on the left, Professor Tucker?
Right here?
Yeah, that stuff.
That was just me establishing what the problem gave us. The problem gave us the center and 4. So I was just making sure we associate when it says center, what letters go with center. That's the H and K.
Okay.
And then radius is R. So
Mm-hmm.
yeah, that's me extracting the information from the problem.
All right. Thank you.
Not a problem. All right, so here find the center and radius of x minus 2 squared plus y plus 4 squared equal to 9. Then draw a rough sketch. So notice this time they gave you the standard form of the equation and told you to pull the center and radius out of that equation. So don't forget, if you're going to take the coordinates of your center from your equation, you use the opposite signs. So notice we have x minus 2. So that means we have positive 2 as h. Then we have y plus 4. So that means we'll have negative 4 as k. You use the opposite signs. Then we take the square root of our constant. So the square root of 9 is 3. That will be our radius. So then all you would do is just grab your center and then go 3 points up, 3 points right, 3 points left, and 3 points down, and just, draw your circle as best as you can. It was just a rough sketch. But I just went 3 up, 3 down, 3 left, and 3 right. That 3, of course, comes from your radius. So whatever your radius is, you're going that many units out to the right, left, up, and down. Just to, like I said, give you a rough sketch. And then you just draw your circle. All right. Problems with that? All right. I think we got one more type of problem in this section, then we'll be done. Everybody good with this one? All right. So before we had the standard form of your equation of a circle, this time we have the general form of the equation of the circle. So basically, when you expand everything out, multiply everything out, and then combine your like terms and set everything on one side of your equation. When you expand everything out, simplify it as much as possible, put everything on one side of your equation. Notice we have the right side equal to 0 over here. That is your general form. Mhm. So what's going to happen is that they're going to give us the equation in general form and ask us to write it in standard form. So once we write it in standard form, we can, pick out the center and the radius in both cases. Let me write that a little better. All right. So make sure we're good before we get into the steps. All right. So let's go step by step. First thing we want to do is isolate the constant. The constant is the number that has nothing to do with any of the variables. So that's the one that stands alone. That's 23. So we add 23 to both sides to get the 23 on one side by itself. Step 2, group together the like variables. So we took our x terms, put them together in one set of parentheses, took our y terms, put them together in another set of parentheses. Any questions? Any questions? All right, everybody done with it? Step 1, scrolling up. All right. So step 3, we want to use completing the square thought process. we want to take half of each linear term and square it. So the 4x is our linear term in our x. The 6y, negative 6y is the linear term in our y. So we take half of 4, square it, half of negative 6 and square it. So half of 4 is 2, 2 squared is 4. Half of negative 6 is negative 3, negative 3 squared is 9. Any problems? Next, we're going to add both numbers. Let's see, is everybody okay with 3?
Just hold on a second. I just got to take note of that.
Which one? Right here?
Number 3.
All right.
All right. Thank you, Professor Tucker.
Yep, not a problem, not a problem. All right, so looking at number 4, we're going to add both of those numbers to both sides of the equation, but we're going to put each number in their respective parentheses. So in other words, that 4 came from the 4x, with our x terms. So we put that in group with the x terms, and that 9 came from our y terms. So we're going to group that together with our y's. So we see we have x squared plus 4x plus 4 plus y squared minus 6y plus 9, and then equal to 23 plus 4 plus 9. All right, so we can factor each trinomial. Hold on, everybody done before? If I scroll up some. Okay, so we can factor each trinomial. Remember, if you have trouble factoring, remember the way the completing square process works. Whatever half this was is what goes here. So half of 4 gives me that plus 2. Whatever half of negative 6 is goes right here. Half of negative 6 is negative 3. So we factor those trinomials, x plus 2 squared, y minus 3 squared, and then of course 23 plus 4 plus 9 gives me 36 on the right. Now we can pick out our center and our radius. Remember, use opposite signs for our coordinates. That'll be a negative 2 and positive 3. Then take the square root of 36, which is 6. All right, questions, questions, questions. Everybody done with this before I scroll up? Am I still copying? All right. So let's look at what we're talking about here. We're looking at chapter 2. Chapter 2 is 2.1 to 2.8. That's what's going to be on your second test. Now, at some point, we have to do a proctor test. I know you guys can't wait. You know, that college experience, have somebody watching you while you take a test, right? But we do have to do that at some point. So we'll either do it this test, or I'm giving you the option of doing it test 3. Um, what I want to do is create a poll. You know, it doesn't matter to me which way you guys want to do it. And you'll see in a second, because of what options I'm giving you, really
Which
not that
chapter is
big of a deal.
easier?
That's based on point of view, man.
Oh, come on, man. You
You
gotta help
know.
us out here.
So, but this is what I'm gonna let you do, though. I'm gonna give you the weekend to look at that test. Matter of fact, you can look at the test review, really from each. But you see, we haven't lectured on chapter 3 yet, so then that you'll be at a disadvantage looking at chapter 3's content if you haven't seen it already. So really, what you would do is look at chapter 2's content and say, okay, based on what I see in chapter 2 test review, do I want to go ahead and do the test, go ahead and knock out a proctor test. So I'm going to create a question in my math lab, like a survey question, wherein you get the option, choose the option, taking the test to Wednesday. If you choose to do it proctored, then that's fine. I mean, if you choose to do it non-proctored, then that's fine. That means test 3 will be proctored. Because like I said, we got to get at least one in. I can't have, have it like, yeah, man, you go to Mr. Tuck class, he'll never be watching you. You can, I can't have that floating out there too. You know what I mean? So we got to have it proctored at some point. And, don't forget final exam will be in that same type of thought process of being proctored. So what you would do is you would come in, you would enable your cameras, make sure I can see your cameras throughout, bring a ID. Some people forget their student ID. So as long as you have a valid ID, put it up to the camera, validate who you are. I'll give you guys the password, and then you'll go ahead and knock out the test. So Monday is going to be review. So that's going to be dedicated to you guys to ask whatever questions you want to ask. So it would be in your benefit to go this weekend, look at the test review, at least even if you haven't knocked out all the homework, and see what kind of questions you may have or that may be generated when you go throughout your assignments. I see your chats. I'm gonna get there in a second. So I'm gonna post a question whether it's gonna say something simple. You want to take the test on Wednesday or not. Now, don't forget, I'm not saying we're going to take the test on Wednesday with the idea that you haven't been doing chapter 2 homework, up to this point. Remember, I'm not saying 2.1 through 2.8. This is the first time you're getting this homework, and now you do it all in a weekend. So remember, you're supposed to have been doing chapter 2's homework progressively as we, get closer and closer to closing out the chapter. So 2.6, 2.7-ish coming into today is what was the anticipation of you being, prepping yourself for closing out chapter 2. So you'll be able to vote on whether, we're going to take chapter 2's test on Wednesday, proctored or not. Now, what I will offer you as well is a makeup. Let's say you don't do as well as you like on that test. On the makeup, the highest you can get on it is an 85%, all fairness to, it actually being taken in real time. Remember on makeups, I'm not timing you. And even if on the makeup, I'll give you 2 shots to get the best grade possible. So on a regular test, if you were to score 85 or better, there's really no purpose in taking the makeup because the highest you can get is 85. But the makeup will be there. If you miss the test, or if you just say, look, man, I'm gonna fail it anyway, and just don't show up. I mean, that's on you. That's your prerogative. It'll be a 0 until you, do the makeup. Till you do the makeup. So somebody said something in the chat. Let me check out the chat. Um, it's class decision. I will base it on you guys tallying up your personal, all of you gonna go in there individually, and whatever the majority vote is, then that's what it'll be. Are we able to use any notes? I'll let you use your notes. But it is time though, because I only have an hour and a half with you guys, so that's the one major setback as far as that is concerned. Outside of me watching you, it's going to be time because I only have you for an hour and a half, and then I got to go on to the next class.
How many questions?
It should reflect that in the review. I haven't looked in the review. I think it's like, put it like this. I looked at the time. My math lab said it should take you. Now that's according to my math lab. Of course, everybody's different, but according to my math lab, I think it said that it should take you around hour and 10 minutes to complete at the most. But like I said, that's my math lab putting their thought process on it. So you know, Like I said, we gotta do a proctor test at some point. So let's see, when is chapter 2 homework done again? So your homework is pretty much is out there. I haven't put a due date on your homework yet. I guess let's see if we're talking about doing the test on Wednesday. So I guess the latest you want to close that out is Sunday. Well, let me see. I hadn't even thought about chapter two's homework due. So if we do, let's do this. If we do a proctor test on Wednesday, which is what date is that? That is March 3rd. So we're looking at March 3rd. Then guess you would say everything would be done by that Sunday. I would say by March 7th. Chapter two's content due. So that would be, any makeup, if you're gonna do the makeup, at your own time, or if you're gonna do, finish out homework, that would be Sunday, in which everything would be completed, need to be completed. All right, so let's see what else is in the chat.
So is it final that we have a test this Wednesday?
No, that's what I said. I'm going to create and I'm going to email you guys once I do so. I'm going to create a question.
Okay.
A questionnaire similar to how I did the Super Bowl. And I'm going to let you guys vote on whether you want to do the test Wednesday or not.
So what's the other day?
The other day would be, no, that means either you would do it on Wednesday or it would be take home. But that means I would do test 3.
Proctor.
Right. It's either test 2 proctored or test 3 proctored. So, you guys can, take an assessment of the homework, make an educated guess on what you would like.
I think, I don't know. I'm just going to say chapter 2 should be proctored because usually as you move forward, it gets harder and harder.
That's a nice assessment, sir, but, I'm not here to give my opinion.
You should have given the option for chapter 1, man. That one was the easiest. That was just simple factoring, something.
Well, I did that to let you get your feet wet. I wanted you to go ahead and get a solid A as your foundation. No pressure, you know what I mean?
Well, you gave us the A's. Now you're going to take them away.
So yeah, y'all, I see people voting in the chat. So.
I just hope everybody was chapter 2.
Oh, man. And so, like I said before, really, to be honest, I do this, but I still give you a chance to still get your A. Scoring, remember I told you the lowest average that you can have for a test and still get an A if you do all of your homework on time and everything is 85%. So really, this 85 is not stopping you from getting an A out of the class, but it is creating, I'll say for lack of a better word, an illusion of, there's a penalty and all that stuff. You know what I mean? So I got to do my job, but as still is the same fashion. I'm throwing you guys a bone as well. You know what I mean? So,
like the review, are you still taking that as like extra credit or not? I don't know what I'm trying to say. Not extra credit, but like giving us points towards the test.
Yeah.
That's extra credit. Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Uh-huh. Yeah, you were right with your wording. Yeah, that's extra credit. So I'm looking at 5 points towards your test if you score 85 or better on your test review.
Oh, so the review test is like 5 points worth towards your test.
Yes. Uh-huh.
Great.
Also, let me say something towards that. That will not be reflected until I do final grade. So it's not like once you do it, it's going to automatically be seen in my math lab, and then you'll see if you see an 80, then I have to add points to that, and I'll do that for your final grading. So, anything else? Anybody else? Questions? Comments?
And we'll be emailing the scratch paper the same way we did last time.
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yep.
I got a question from this chapter, section 2.8. Find the center radius of the drawing, the rough sketch.
Okay.
I always get those wrong. Can you explain to me? I don't know how to graph. I don't know how to graph them.
Okay. Now
I can get the solution and everything. I just can't figure out how to graph it.
Okay. So before you go there, is everybody cool? Any more questions about this test thing before we go to his question? Everybody good?
There's one in the chat.
Okay, let me see what somebody's saying in the chat. One more thing, chapter 2 review is supposed to be done. It's optional. It's optional, but you know, if you do it, score 85 or better, then that'll be points added to your test. But if you don't do it at all, I'm not holding. It's not a penalty. All right. So now, as far as graphing the circle, you talking about graphing it in my math lab?
Not even that. Just like how you graphed it on
Okay.
there.
Okay. Yeah.
You said 3 this way, 3 that way, up 3 up
Right.
top, 3 down. Just that. Let me
Mhm.
give you the center and the radius. Okay,
Okay.
center is 2 and -4. Radius is 3.
All right. So you would go to the right 2. Let me have a different color. Right 2, down 3, down 4. Excuse me. That's your
Right
center.
2, down 4.
So you would graph that the way you would normally graph your points.
So that's the center.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go up 3, left 3, right 3, down 3. And
Exactly.
that's your circle.
Exactly.
Okay, so that was my only question. That was the only thing. I'm like, okay, he said 3 this way, 3 that way. How is he doing that?
Mm-hmm.
That was the only thing that was confusing me.
Okay. Yep. And then from there you just yep. Somebody else said something in the chat. When is chapter 2 homework due? Yep, 3/7, which would be that Sunday. Not this Sunday, but next Sunday, when chapter 2's content would be due. All right.
So
Mm-hmm.
the test is due on the 3rd, right?
No,
It's
no,
just up to us if we want to do it as a proctor or online.
no, well, let's do that. I'm glad you mentioned that. So if it's proctored, the proctored test will be 3/3.
Okay.
That's Wednesday.
Okay, if we do
Now,
proctor.
unproctored or non-proctored, whichever way you want to say it,
Mm-hmm.
would actually be due 3/7, because
Okay.
that's that Sunday. You know that all of chapter 2's content is due,
Okay.
and then this is Wednesday. So basically, if you vote non-proctored, it'll be due 3/7, and then also the makeup. Let's say if we do proctored, but then do a makeup, that makeup will be due 3/7. So all of chapter 2's content will be due March 7th. So, but everything I'll solidify and go through the directions one more time once we know exactly what we're doing. It seems like most people are voting to go ahead and do the test on Wednesday. If that's the case, then this is how it will hold up. You know, we'll do the proctoring on Wednesday, and then that makeup option would be on Sunday, be due by Sunday, not on Sunday. Yep, proctored is when what I take time out of everybody's day and just look at you.
But we are allowed to use our notes and everything, right?
Yeah, yep,
Notes are allowed,
Mhm.
formulas and everything.
Yep. And so
Nice.
I would suggest also that you create your notes according to that, that test review, and even kind of put it in order, because I'm not switching up the order or anything. So at least that'll streamline how you attack, the test.
So it's a good idea to do the review in this test if we're doing proctor.
Yeah,
Because the test review is pretty much the test with different numbers.
very similar, very similar. Now sometimes it'll be shorter. Then sometimes I'll give you a 40-question review. And I don't know if I did it in this class or not. Sometimes I give you 40-question review and then pull problems out. But those problems will be very similar,
Is it
but
like
not
the
the same.
same 42 problems? Last test had 42 or
I
32
think this
problems.
one's like 30, 34, something like that.
Okay.
Something like that. Yeah. That's the only reason it's like that because some of them don't call for calculation.
I see.
Yep. All right.
Oli
Anything else?
hasn't asked anything. He's been quiet.
I think he's taking it all in.
My homework.
All right, let's see. Chat. Do the review. Yep. Do the review. Yep. Try to hint at, you guys knock the review out, take a look at it. And like I said, if nothing else, take a look at it. And it'll most definitely help you streamline how you're going to do this test. All right. Anything else? Anybody else? Take this weekend out, see if you got questions, and knock them out, and we'll go from there. Maybe the questions and situations, maybe it'll cause us to push stuff back. You just never know. Never know. We'll see. But yep. Any questions or concerns before we close out?
Professor Tuck, you have a good day.
Oh man, you running off. I didn't chase you away, sir.
Man, you turning my head white. It's already white. I'm looking like Moses white.
Well, everybody have a great weekend. Be safe, and I will most definitely see you on Monday.
See you later.
All right,
take
take
care.
care.
Thank you.
All right, take care.